Okay, today let's talk about this paper. This paper was published in the Pharmaceuticals Conference 2021. So, this paper is mainly about the ADaM specification template that simplifies the ADaM programming and the creation of Define.xml. So basically, this paper is really good quality because it talks about the three very important roles as a statistical programmer. We are dealing with the specifications and the ADaM datasets creation daily, and also the Define.xml. Define.xml is very important component for the submissions. So let's see how this paper handled all these three topics. So as you can see, FDA requires all the sponsors to submit their datasets in statistical standards if the study is studied after this date. So, okay. And so this paper, it will focus on the ADaM specification that is really user-friendly for both ADaM dataset creating and the ADaM Define XML creation. Okay. It is noted that in this paper, the author used R to convert the specification. Usually, pharmaceutical company use R, so this is a kind of innovation. Okay, let's go down. So, in the current industry, most companies, although they have their ADaM specifications, but they are not user-friendly either for the ADaM datasets creation or Define XML creation. So the authors from this paper, they really look through the Pinnacle 21, the recent advancement in this company. They had a really good solution to create Define XML. So they know that the fact that Pinnacle 21 can automatically populate these four tabs. These four tabs is very complex. So many companies, they develop their macros, really complicated macros for the Define XML creation. But Pinnacle 21 already did a really good job for those four tabs. So the authors make good use of that. So based on that, they design ADaM specification that is easy for both ADaM and Define XML creation. Okay. So let's go down. First, let's see the Define creation, the 4 steps on the Pinnacle 21. So the first step is quite straightforward. Just load your XPD dataset into the Pinnacle 21, and then immediately you can export the draft Pinnacle 21 spec. And then the second step is the key. This one takes most of time for defining XML creation. So basically, you will have to get information from either A or your ADaM specifications, the programming specification, to get information from A and B into the C. And then if you have find any issue in Pinnacle 21 system, you might need to do a few rounds of this step 2 and step 3. So it's kind of a circle until there's no issues or the issues can be explained on the Pinnacle 21. And then the last step is quite straightforward. Just export your Define.xml PDF or style sheet for the submission. Okay, so this is the general 4 steps for any Define.xml creation. So we have to keep that in mind. And then the authors explained the details of these 4 steps. I can just quickly go through these for you. So the first step, they just load the XPT dataset and they zipped as a .zip file and then load into Pinnacle 21 system. And as you can see here, you import and choose the first one, and immediately you just export the Excel spec. So this is the spec in the step. You see, that's the spec for list A. Okay, so you will need that information. Okay, let's go to the step 2. So step 2, you will, as I said, you have to get information from the spec from the above, the step 1, and also the specification or program specification. So use these two and to populate that define spec. This one, step 2, is most time consuming. So the author designed the program spec just like B in a good structure that the complicated process can be optimized or simplified. So let's see how it could simplify later. So step 3 is just to import the spec from the step 2 and then see if any issue or not. And then if no issue, just export these 3 files. Okay, it's quite straightforward here. So next section, the authors talk about the structure, the ADaM specification template, how it looks like. Okay, so let's go to, let's see here. So you can see these tabs here are the required tabs on the Pinnacle 21. And here is the ADaM specification the authors designed. As we can see, these tabs except variables. So all the other tabs are already, you can see already here. Okay. They so for the variables tab here, they make it horizontal. So because this will be much easier for the programmers to see each dataset and their derivation rules, whatever information there. So it will be user friendly. Okay. So it's pretty much the structure wise they are similar, except these ones, these two are different. Okay. And then they also mentioned that, like for the ADL cell, is for ADL cell tab. So they have all these column A through P, they are exactly the same as the Pinnacle 21 columns. They added these 3 columns here for the derivation rules, or if it was assigned, they have this common description. And this column S is the common variables for the ADSL that will be used for any other ADaM datasets. And for the other ADaM dataset, you just don't need this column as, and the other columns are exactly the same. Okay. And then the authors mentioned to automate the define creation, they use R. Okay. So this R exactly use the automation rules here mentioned. So you can see the green ones are the tabs or columns. These are the tabs, these are the columns, these are the rules how each columns, each tab to be handled, and also they are the creation order. Okay, so based on these rules, the author developed SAS code, the R code you can see here to automate the process. Okay, so you can see this R code is relatively much simpler than the typical SAS macros, which are usually a few thousands lines of code and very complicated rules. So I think this paper in general is very, very high quality in the industry. If any company can adopt this kind of method, it will much simplify the process for both Define.xml and the ADaM dataset creation.